Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back, everyone, to a deep dive. This is where we take the material you send us, dive right in, and pull out the most interesting bits.
Exactly. Finding those surprising insights.
And today, wow, we are definitely heading into some unexpected territory. We're looking at bizarre phobias.
It's a truly remarkable topic. I mean, exploring these very specific fears really gives you a window into how complex anxiety can be.
Yeah, and you send us this list. It's from 10mosttoday.com called 10 Most Bizarre Phobias. So our mission today is to go through this list, look at the details they provide, you really try to understand what makes these fears seem so, well, bizarre, according to the source, and, what we can actually learn from their descriptions.
Absolutely. It's about digging into the specifics, the context the source gives for each one, seeing the patterns, or maybe just the sheer oddity sometimes.
Right. Let's just jump in. First on their list, and they actually flag this one, saying it's potentially the most bothersome, is something called optophobia.
Optophobia.
Yeah.
And the list describes this as the fear of opening your eyes.
Opening.
Right.
Nice. Wow. I mean, that hits you straight away, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's such a basic automatic thing for most of us.
it really is.
The source calls it a nightmare for people who suffer from it. That really tells you something about the severity.
It certainly highlights how a phobia can impact the most fundamental functions. The list even has this pretty stark line. It says, if you can read this, you probably aren't an optophobic.
Oof. Yeah, that puts it right into perspective. The kind of impact on just living day to day must be huge.
Absolutely immense. Okay, so from a fear that kind of shuts the world out, let's look at one the list presents about interacting with the world.
Yeah.
Geliophobia.
Geliophobia. Right. The list says this is the fear of laughing or being around people who are laughing.
Now, this one feels particularly strange, right? Because we usually think of laughter as such a positive thing. Good for you, social bonding.
Yeah, the source even mentions those health benefits, mental health, social connection, even good for your heart, apparently.
And yet, for someone with this phobia, the list says it causes real anxiety and distress. It does offer some potential reasons, though.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, it suggests maybe it stems from experiences like laughing at the wrong time, inappropriately, or maybe being laughed at.
Oh, okay. That makes a bit more sense.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not the laughter itself, but the negative stuff associated with it.
That seems to be the context the source provides, yes. The potential implications.
Fascinating. Okay, moving from social sounds to social movement. The next one is chorophobia.
Chorophobia, that's the fear of dancing.
And according to this list, we're not just talking about feeling a bit awkward, like having two left feet.
No, not at all. The source makes it clear it can be triggered by any event associated with dancing. Think parties, weddings, even watching ballet.
Wow.
And it causes overwhelming distress. It doesn't matter if you're good at dancing or if you even have to dance, just the saturation.
So it's the whole idea of dancing, the environment. That's the trigger.
According to the list, yes. The circumstance and the association.
Got it. Okay, changing gears slightly. Number 4, heliophobia.
Heliophobia. This is presented as the fear of sunlight, and the list does note it's a rare condition.
Fear of sunlight. That just sounds incredibly difficult to deal with. I mean, sunlight is everywhere.
Exactly. And the list points out that paradox how necessary sunlight is for us. It mentions vitamin D for bones, mood boosts.
Right.
But it also says the distress isn't just from direct sun, it can be from any bright lights too. And the source links this fear specifically to an extreme worry about the sun's harmful effects.
So like an overwhelming fear of sunburn or skin cancer, maybe?
That seems to be the implication in the source, yes. An extreme worry. They even add this darkly humorous line saying avoiding sunlight is impossible unless you're a vampire.
Oh, yeah, okay, that definitely emphasizes the challenge involved. All right, let's pivot to something the source itself calls peculiar arachibutyrophobia. Get this one.
Arachibutyrophobia. Okay, I'm ready.
It's described as the fear of having peanut butter stuck on the roof of your mouth.
Peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth. Okay.
Yeah. The source explicitly says peculiar and notes, it's not life-threatening. It feels quite different from some of the others, like fearing sunlight or opening your eyes.
It does feel different in scale, but the list includes it, which I suppose highlights just how varied these things can be. And the source does mention a small downside.
Oh.
Well, it points out that people with this fear miss out on potential health benefits of peanut butter, like lowering cholesterol, which the list mentions.
Huh. Okay, so even the really specific, seemingly smaller fears can have these little knock-on effects mentioned in the source. Interesting. Okay, back to social stuff. Dapnophobia.
Dipnophobia. This is the fear of dinner conversations. The list calls it a specific type of social phobia.
Right. Not just general anxiety about being around people, but specifically the dinner table chat. That's phobias.
Very focused. And the source notes the obvious disadvantage it causes: awkwardness, discomfort.
Yeah, you'd think.
But then the source adds this really surprising observation.
What's that?
It notes that maybe remaining silent during dinner might actually be good for your digestion.
Get out.
Yeah.
Really? That is a unique detail from the list. Hard to imagine that benefit outweighing the social awkwardness, but okay, it's in there.
It is quite the counterintuitive point.
Okay, moving to maybe a broader fear now, neophobia.
Neophobia. This is described as a severe and aberrant fear of new things and new experiences.
So the source is careful to say this isn't just, finding change a bit uncomfortable, which lots of people do.
Exactly. The list emphasizes this is much more intense. Severe and aberrant are the words used.
And it sounds like it has serious consequences.
According to the list, yes. It stresses the big impact on well-being, happiness, causing people to miss out on opportunities. And there's a really serious claim the source includes.
Which is?
It mentions research suggesting that the physical or mental pressure that comes with neophobia might actually minimize life expectancy.
Wow, okay, that's heavy. That really elevates it, doesn't it? From just being resistant to change to something with potential long-term health impacts noted by the source.
A very significant point the list makes, yes. Next up, let's look at ablutophobia.
Ablutophobia, fear of washing or bathing. Is that right?
That's it. The source mentions it's most common in kids, but it definitely exists in adults too.
It seems, well, the source uses the word absurd to some people, but clearly not to the sufferer.
No. For them, the list says it's sheer terror, just the thought of having a shower or a bath.
This feels a bit like the optophobia one, interfering with just basic daily routines and self-care.
It does, and the source makes another one of those interesting side points, like with the peanut butter. It mentions that occasionally skipping a shower might have a tiny benefit, preserving good skin bacteria or oils.
Okay.
But, and this is crucial, the list immediately follows that by stressing the negative impact on social life and health if avoiding bathing becomes a regular habit because of the phobia, it clearly separates a rare instance from the phobic avoidance.
Right. That distinction is key. Okay, shifting from self-care to relationships. Number 9 is syngenisophobia.
Syngenisophobia. This is listed as the fear of relatives.
Okay, now, the source is quite careful here, isn't it? It makes a point of distinguishing this from just, finding your family annoying sometimes or feeling awkward at big gatherings.
Exactly. This is presented as a genuine, intense fear. It significantly impacts family connections.
And the list recommends getting help for this.
It does. It suggests seeking professional help, unless, it notes, there are very clear, justifiable reasons for that fear.
And, like with neophobia, the source brings up a health connection again. What does it say?
It mentions that experts suggest overcoming this specific fear could actually benefit your health. It cites the idea that having strong family bonds might potentially increase life expectancy.
That connection the source draws between sorting out this specific fear and maybe living longer, that's pretty compelling.
It is quite a statement made by the source.
All right, final one. Number 10 on this list takes us back to really specific body parts, geniophobia.
Geniophobia, the fear of chins.
Chins. The list almost sounds like, I can't believe it the way it asks, do you know someone who has an unbearable fear of chins?
Yeah, it definitely presents it as highly unusual. But the source does add context.
How so?
It points out that other body part phobias exist. It gives examples like chirophobia, which is fear of hands, and genophobia, fear of knees. So geniophobia is put in that kind of category.
Okay, so it's not totally unique in type, just maybe in focus. And the list suggests therapy for this too.
Yes, it recommends therapy because of the unpleasing effects, like making social interactions difficult.
Which, actually, when you stop and think about it, makes perfect sense. I mean, chins are pretty visible when you're talking to someone.
It does raise that point, doesn't it? How even a very specific, seemingly isolated fear, according to the source, can become quite pervasive if the thing you fear is something you encounter all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. We've really covered a spectrum here, haven't we? Based just on this one list.
We really have.
From something like optophobia, the fear of opening your eyes, which sounds incredibly debilitating, to fears tied to social situations like laughing or dinner chat, all the way to the incredibly specific, like the peanut butter thing, arachibutorophobia, or Well, geniophobia,
Yeah.
fearing shins.
I think what really stands out looking across this list provided by the source is that difference between just not liking something or feeling uncomfortable and experiencing a phobia.
Yeah.
Like the source describes for neophobia or heliophobia, it uses terms like aberrant and severe fear, causing immense panic and anxiety. It's consistently presented as something that seriously disrupts daily life.
Absolutely. It really makes you think, doesn't it, about all the different ways fear can show up and how deeply it can affect someone's world. According to this source, these aren't just quirks. They're conditions that can impact everything from social life to potentially even health outcomes.
It definitely broadens your perspective on the kind of challenges some people face that we might never even consider.
So here's maybe something for you to think about after this. How does our everyday idea of being scared, feeling worried or uncomfortable, really compare to the kind of intense, specific terror described in this list?
That spectrum of feeling.
Yeah, that spectrum between just feeling uneasy and living with a truly debilitating fear. And maybe consider, based on these examples, how parts of life that seem totally simple or unavoidable to most of us, like seeing someone's face or sunlight, or even just opening your eyes, could actually be sources of profound distress for others.
That's a really useful way to frame it, a perspective shift.
Well, thank you again for sending in this list. It certainly gave us a lot to dig into for this deep dive.